Whoever believed that Jake Paul was going to win, that was an absolute fairy tale.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is over. Thank God it's over. What a joke of a fight.
From the minute he got into that ring, to get on the back foot and just start running around, it was quite pathetic, to be honest with you.
There was never a world in which Jake Paul was going to beat Anthony.
Jake Paul is getting absolutely roasted by boxing analysts after a humiliating and painful defeat at the hands of Anthony Joshua. What many once called the pretty boy boxing experiment didn't just fail, it collapsed in spectacular fashion. The night ended with shattered pride, aching ribs, and the harsh reality of what happens when internet confidence collides with the raw force of a true heavyweight powerhouse.
He's an idiot. There is no reason.
If Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a boxing ring and Jake Paul is in the other corner, this won't last long. This will last as long as Josh wants it to last.
And honestly, let's not act like this result came out of nowhere. Anyone with even a basic grasp of boxing could see the ending from miles away. Over the past few years, watching Jake Paul navigate the sport has felt less like the rise of a contender and more like a visitor passing through, picking up moments and headlines along the way. The truth is, the blueprint was obvious. You can't afford to lose to someone the boxing world still labels as a YouTuber. Yet the path leading up to this moment followed a very specific formula. The opponents were often retired MMA fighters, former champions well past their peak, or even athletes whose main experience with throwing punches came from entirely different sports, sometimes even basketball. The routine rarely changed. Big, noisy promotion. Viral training clips flooding social media. Carefully chosen matchups. And throughout it all, constant talk about revolutionizing boxing and shaking up the entire sport.
You can't lose to a guy that's perceived to be a YouTuber, even though today...
Then 2025 arrived, and the whole storyline took a dramatic turn. Suddenly, Jake Paul found himself staring across the ring at Anthony Joshua, a man who isn't just another opponent, but a former unified heavyweight champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and a fighter whose career has been forged in genuine, brutal battles.
Jake Paul is concerned, because that's not boxing. He was just trying to survive. And when you try to survive in a fight, then the other guy can't knock you out because you're not looking to win.
Joshua stepped into the ring carrying the weight of a proven career, over 25 professional victories, several reigns as a heavyweight world champion, and a resume that begins with an Olympic gold medal from the 2012 London Games.
Dude's got balls. Dude's got balls to stand in there with AJ.
On the opposite side stood Jake Paul, entering with just 13 pro bouts on his record. None of those contests had been against current or former heavyweight champions, and none had truly tested him against the kind of elite defensive skill that separates contenders from champions.
Who had been off, so his chin is refreshed. He's ready to fight.
From the moment the opening bell rang, the difference between them was impossible to ignore. Anthony Joshua moved around the ring with the calm precision of a fighter who has spent years mastering the craft. He controlled the distance, set clever traps, and dictated the rhythm of the fight, forcing Jake Paul to chase opportunities that never truly appeared. The physical gap was obvious, but it was the experience inside the ring that really separated the two. While Paul spent the entire week promising a knockout and talking about making a massive statement, Joshua entered the ring with a completely different mindset that no hype. No theatrics, just business.
You get paid $90 million to just survive? He just survived. He just ran around the ring.
The opening rounds unfolded with a tense kind of calm, the kind that usually comes before something serious happens. Anthony Joshua stayed composed, calculating every move with patience. There was no reckless aggression, no desperate attempts to force a finish. Instead, he allowed the space in the ring to slowly close in around Jake Paul. Joshua moved with control, taking his time, reading everything.
Anthony Joshua is trying to find him. As the fight goes longer, all those big actions, the shots.
Paul, on the other hand, tried to project confidence, but his movement told a different story. His feet kept drifting backward. Resets came a little too late. Instead of leading the action, he was reacting to it. And in the heavyweight division, moments like that often signal when reality starts to settle in. When the knockout finally arrived, it didn't feel like some unbelievable twist. For anyone who had looked at the matchup honestly, it felt almost inevitable.
The big overhand rights. All those things were starting to fatigue Paul.
Not long after the fight, many people looked to hear what Teddy Atlas had to say. And true to form, his reaction matched the warnings he had been giving even before the bout ever happened. His message was blunt and unwavering. In the heavyweight division, the basics of boxing leave very little room for error. The smaller weight classes, fighters can sometimes get away with a mistake or two and still recover. Speed, movement, and endurance can buy you time to fix a bad moment. But among the heavyweights, things operate under a much harsher reality.
You know, you're gonna get knocked out anyway, dude. Like, I was hoping I could say, you know what, because he earned the respect of boxing fans by going out on his shield. Guy just ran for his life. I just watched Jake Paul run for his life for like 5-6 rounds.
But in the heavyweight class, errors are rarely forgiven. When something goes wrong, the punishment usually arrives right away. Teddy Atlas explained that without truly high-level defensive instincts,
I try to be responsible. I've been in this game 50 years, so I know where not to step, where you could twist an ankle, or worse, you could break.
the division itself starts working against you. At that level, you're not only dealing with the person standing across the ring. You're battling the raw realities of the sport: size, power, leverage, timing, and the harsh consequences that come with all of it. And until this moment, Jake Paul had never truly stepped into a world like that.
I mean, this guy literally never tried to win a second of the fight. He was trying to throw a home run punch every once in a while. And notice every time he got in the clinch, he just went down. Like, he just hugged Anthony Joshua and then like would go down, and the referee would call it a slip and give him a break. And like, he would just kill time that.
Then Carl Froch stepped in, cutting through any pretense of politeness. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Froch reminded the audience that Jake Paul had already fallen short against Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight who never even captured a British title. That single defeat had already hinted at Paul's true limits. Struggling at that level meant that jumping straight into a fight with a heavyweight champion wasn't boldness. It was ignoring reality. Froch made it clear: boxing has a structured path for a reason. The sport punishes those who try to skip steps, and shortcuts rarely end well.
You beat a guy like that, you're not going to outbox him. If you're waiting on him and he's initiating and he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering the counter.
Even while I think a heavyweight has a chance in any fight, a puncher's chance, I don't think Jake Paul has anything for Anthony Joshua.
Do you respect him for taking it?
Yeah, you have to, because that's terrifying. Like,
the raw numbers made the situation even more striking. Experts highlighted that Joshua entered the ring carrying more than a 100-pound weight advantage, with a reach that extended over 6 inches beyond Paul's. These weren't just stats on a page. They were the tools of dominance. They meant control over distance, control over every punch exchanged, and control over the timing of when the fight's chaos would erupt. In the heavyweight division, those numbers aren't background details. They shape the entire battle.
He knocked him down twice. I thought the fight was going to be over because he was going to knock him down again.
Analysts were swift to dismiss the oft-repeated puncher's chance argument. In the heavyweight division, that idea only holds water if both fighters possess elite defensive skills. Without that foundation, a puncher's chance doesn't stay a possibility. It transforms into a puncher's liability. Every risky swing becomes a potential invitation for disaster.
Honestly, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, this guy ran for his life in a 22 by 22 foot ring. That ring was huge. That ring was huge.
Even before the bell rang, the betting lines told their own story. Joshua opened as an overwhelming favorite, with odds suggesting he had more than an 85% chance to win. This wasn't about disrespect or hype. It was pure probability. The market stripped away the flashy promotion and hype, showing the reality. Experience, physical advantage, technical skill, and a fighter's track record carry real weight. No amount of loud bravado can rewrite the numbers.
It looked like that was the moment he was going to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm injured, I'm hurt, I don't want to do that. But hats off.
The moment the knockout landed, all eyes zeroed in on the blow itself. Instantly, fans and analysts drew parallels to Joshua's 2024 demolitions of Francis Ngannou, both fights wrapped up in less than 3 rounds.
He got up and he kept fighting. We get to the 6th round and you can just tell that it's over.
Ngannou, until that night, had never tasted the canvas, not even once. But Joshua executed it with surgical precision. Experts highlighted that his right hand rockets at nearly 40 miles per hour, a staggering velocity for a heavyweight of that size. When that fist connects, it's not just a punch, it's a career-altering moment.
My life, I think my jaw is broken, by the way, so. Yeah. Let's go! It's definitely broke. But,
What made Paul's night even worse was the complete technical collapse. He didn't adapt to Joshua's early feints, walked straight into counters instead of creating chaotic exchanges, and his reactions were slow, retreating immediately after each punch. Analysts agreed. If Joshua's same right hand that floored Ngannou had found its mark on Paul, there was no scenario where the outcome would have changed. This wasn't hype, it was pure mechanics. Then came Johnny Nelson, slicing through the chatter with a statement that hit perfectly. Anthony Joshua does not play touch boxing at any level. Again, this wasn't trash talk, it was a technical reality. Joshua isn't the type to toy with opponents. When he decides to strike, he does it with total commitment. Nelson stressed that Joshua's game has always been about imposing control first, then delivering punishment, no matter who's across the ring. Forget exhibition mode. Step in with Joshua, even with gloves on, and you're stepping into consequences.
But Joshua just ate that. And I think when Anthony saw he could take those punches and they could really do no damage to him, it even boosted his confidence more. Because then he got even more reckless in his approach to getting after Paul.
The financial angle offered no shield from the backlash. Simon Jordan delivered one of the harshest takes, labeling the challenge outright absurd, even if the payday was huge. He made it clear, profit doesn't excuse turning a blind eye to the realities inside the ring. While he recognized the commercial triumph, he drew a firm line between money and sporting integrity. At the core, his critique wasn't about earnings, it was about legitimacy.
He knew that Anthony Joshua was going to eventually land something that hurt Jake Paul. And you know how you know the boxing world wanted it to be brutal? Because Rosendo was sitting here and he goes, I hope he gets knocked out bad.
A two-time heavyweight champion with Olympic credentials isn't a mere promotional tool. When you treat him like that, someone inevitably pays the price in the ring. Jordan's perspective carried weight because he knows the business from both the media side and the ownership side. He wasn't upset by the showmanship, he was disturbed by the sheer mismatch.
Who's now 5 inches bigger than you, maybe more, or 4 or 5 inches, and about 100 pounds heavier. You just don't go from there right up to there.
The criticism intensified when even longtime supporters of crossover boxing began to waver. Fighters and analysts who once championed influencer fights as a bridge into the sport quietly admitted this bout revealed more than a temporary hurdle, exposed a structural ceiling. Their acknowledgement was subtle but nearly unanimous. You can market curiosity, you can hype novelty, but you can't bypass boxing's foundation and expect heavyweight results to bend to your narrative.
Heavyweight, and fake Paul's never been in with a heavyweight. Like I said earlier, he lost to Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight. He lost to him. Tommy Fury's not even British level. So you can't chuck fake Paul in with Anthony Joshua and take it serious.
The stats only confirmed what the critics were already saying. Anthony Joshua came into the pros after an extensive amateur career, racking up more than 150 fights. That experience isn't just a number. It's where timing, defense, and instinct under pressure are forged. Jake Paul, by contrast, stepped into professional boxing with no amateur foundation at all. Not a brief stint, not a handful of bouts, nothing. That kind of gap can't be bridged with bravado or a few training camps. It's closed with years of experience. Joshua had it.
Because he got hit clean by one of the biggest punchers, acclaimed, a lot of accolades, world champion heavyweight, and he went down and didn't get up. And honestly...
19. Anthony Joshua's pro career reads like a highlight reel of championship triumphs, with multiple world title defenses stacked across different reigns. He's endured the full 12-round grind against top-tier opponents, maintaining high intensity the entire way. Jake Paul, on the other hand, had never tested himself beyond 8 rounds at peak pace before stepping into this fight. That gap isn't just a number, it's a world of difference. Going 8 rounds and surviving 12 in a heavyweight contest are practically 2 different sports. Beyond the 8th, both the body and mind are pushed to extremes, and anyone unaccustomed to that reality usually cracks sooner rather than later.
It was exactly what it needed to be tonight for this fight and for this fight. It was fun. It was crazy at times with the wrestling and all the grabbing and the clenching, the referee saying the fans didn't pay for this shit, all the dirty tactics.
When it comes to the money, the fight delivered exactly what industry insiders had predicted. Reports suggest both fighters walked away with payouts in the ballpark of $40 to $50 million each. Those staggering numbers, widely circulated after the event, cemented the bout's status as a commercial powerhouse, a spectacle engineered to grab headlines and cash checks. No one argues about the financial triumph. But the numbers also tell another story. Massive paydays don't magically level the playing field. The huge sums didn't make the fight more competitive. They just raised the stakes for everyone involved.